Tonight, my name is Victor Muyakane.
And my name is Linda Alela. Aside from the daily report, it is equally time for the People's Court.
Absolutely.
That will be right after the news.
Absolutely. And we have quite a lot in store for you. You know how we do it. This is a home of untold stories. Right. And we begin to look at the untold angles of where we find ourselves as a country. Historic times.
Right.
Meteoric times, I tell you.
And of course, we're talking about the state of the nation, but this time round involving the NCCK, involving the NCRC,
Absolutely.
involving SUPChem. We have a legal mind on board just so they can help us understand where we are headed in this that you call historic times.
Absolutely.
You have seen what has played out at 7. I mean, Elizabeth Matuko with the politicians on board. My
Explosive
goodness.
interview right there. But all of this tells us, and word on the ground, the people who have the pulse on the nation are saying our society is fractured.
You know?
Cohesion is at a very high premium right now. And that's some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight.
We do not lose hope all the same. It's explosive. It's equally tremendous to experience this. Some of these things that were not envisioned, even with the Constitution, we are learning, we are growing democratically. And therefore, we welcome you to be part of this conversation. That should be later, but it's important that we tell you what is in the world of news. And here are the highlights. DP Gachagua ally spills beans on how Olive Gardens Hotel, one of the properties in question, was acquired by the DP. Also tonight, High Court declines to stop Senate from debating Deputy President Rigathi's impeachment motion. Gachagua's hope is in the court ahead of the Senate sitting tomorrow. New sheriffs in town. National Police Service makes changes in Nyeri, DP Gachagua's backyard. And chaos at the County Assembly of Nyamira as Speaker attempts to access the Assembly after suspension.
Whether you are supporting any group, you are welcome. Kaa nyote ongea kama viongozi.
All right, welcome on board, and the daily report begins right away. On the other hand, we'll be having Makori Kevin helping us on the sign language interpretation. And of course, we go straight to the stories of the day, like we have said, largely about the politics that are playing out. And Gachagua ally spills beans. That is tonight. Of course, an ally that is of Deputy President in an affidavit has detailed how one of the hotels in question in the impeachment motion was acquired.
Peterson Njomo Mushira claims that the DP persuaded him to enter into a secret agreement and purchase in the sale of the hotel. Then the DP would buy the hotel from him by refunding the purchase price of 412 million shillings.
Well, Joash Ansari tells us more on this.
Absolutely.
In what appears to be a damning affidavit, Peterson Njomo Mushira, an ally of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, has detailed how Olive Gardens Hotel, one of the properties in question, was acquired. Mushira claiming to have personal knowledge of facts relating to the sale of the Olive Gardens Hotel, which initially formed part of the estate of the late Nderitu Gachagua.
Olive Gardens is said to have been sold to one gentleman that many of us know, the Honorable Gishimu Givenji, the member for Gishugu, will tell you that the gentleman who is listed here as a purchaser for value for Olive Gardens, one Peterson Njomo Mushira, was a candidate in Gishugu constituency. He is a direct proxy of one Rigathi Geoffrey Gachagua.
He says that on or around 31st March 2023, the Deputy President approached and convinced him to purchase the Olive Garden Hotel, which was, at that time, part of the estate of the late Nderitu Gachagua. In the agreement, Mushira says that the deputy president persuaded him to enter into an informal secret arrangement regarding the transaction embodied in the agreement. The terms of the secret arrangement were that the deputy president would buy the hotel from him by refunding the purchase price of 412 million Kenya shillings set out in the agreement. In the affidavit, he says that the deputy president would instruct and pay a contractor to renovate the hotel after completion of the transaction. In this agreement, Mushira would then appoint Ms. Julian Jahenda as a signatory or agent for the hotel's account. Ms. Julian Jahenda would run the hotel. Mushira says he appointed and introduced Ms. Julian Jahenda, who is a close associate of the DP, as a signatory and agent for the purposes of the operation of the hotel's account. He says he decided to swear this affidavit after his attention was drawn to the contradictions between the contents of part of the response by the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua filed at the National Assembly and the remarks made by Honorable Enkomas Mwenge Motuse, who is the mover of the motion, as well as remarks made by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and other members of the National Assembly.
And I am sorry to my friend Peterson because I know him. I just called him this afternoon when I saw this document. And I asked him whether TM Civil Engineering Limited is his company, and he confirmed to me it is indeed his company.
In his defense, DP Gachagua said that the hotel was owned by his late brother, Nderitu Gachagua, and was part of his will.
I therefore want to tell you Olive Gardens was purchased through the proxy of Peterson Jomo Mushira with 0 shares and TM Civil Engineering Limited with 6,000 shares. Those who have visited the Annex House, the Office of the Deputy President, know this Njomo is a permanent fixture in the office of the Deputy President, and therefore his direct proxy.
The truth is that Olive Garden Hotel used to belong to my deceased brother, the late Honorable James Nderitu Gachagua, and therefore has never been my property. This is information that most of you may be aware, as it is in public domain.
Sources indicate that the family of the late Nderitu Gachagua might also appear as witnesses in the case. Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
In other news, TV47 has confirmed major reshuffles within the National Police Service in Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's home county of Nyeri and the larger central region.
Well, the changes, which took place as late as last week, have resulted in new leadership, including the Central Region Police Commander, Nyeri County Police Commander, Nyeri Sub-County Police Commander, and the head of the Mathira East Directorate of Criminal Investigations.
Now, while the National Police Service spokesperson has described the reshuffles as routine, there are concerns that they could be linked to a political maneuverings amid an ongoing bid to challenge Gachagua's position.
Take a look.
They said, John.
Since the commencement of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's ouster bid, TV47 has learned that the police command structure in Nyeri County has heightened its security meetups, holding regular weekly meetings. These under the stewardship of new security chiefs deployed to Gachagua's backyard. TV47 has established as soon as last week a new county commander to be in charge of commanding officers within Nyeri County. David Kipchirchir is the new Nyeri County commander, taking after Benjamin Rotich. Sources from within the National Police Service familiar to the reshuffles intimate the changes were politically influenced. This as a new head of DCI has taken charge in Gachagua's home yard of Mathira as late as last week. The change follows days after Samuel Leweri replaced Benjamin Bowen as the Mathira East Sub-County Police Commander. The reshuffle has further affected the Nyeri Sub-County, where a new police commander has taken charge. Wilfred Muguri will take over from Charles Chacha as Paul Makange has been deployed to take charge of the sleuths in Nyeri Sub-County. Confirming the changes, the spokesperson of the National Police Service, Dr. Risila Nyango, maintains the reshuffles were in a normal transfer process. The reshuffle has further spiraled to the National Government Administration officers, where Pius Murugu, in acting capacity, will be chairing the Central Region Security Council as the acting regional commissioner, doubling up as the county commissioner, taking up the role from Ahmed Bore, who was the county commissioner Nyeri. Mwege William, TV47.
And in the same breath, with the Deputy President scheduled to defend himself before the Senate Wednesday following 11 charges approved by 281 members of Parliament in the National Assembly, elders from Mount Kenya and Rift Valley have voiced concerns.
They have warned that impeaching the Deputy President could lead to divisions in the country.
Chichi Josephine gives us the details.
With the Deputy President set to defend himself before the Senate on Wednesday, facing 11 charges as approved by 281 MPs in the National Assembly, a group of elders from Mount Kenya and Rift Valley regions have cautioned over the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, noting that the move could lead to divisions in the country.
Tunapenda Kenya yetu. Na kama unapenda Kenya yetu, hauwezi enea siasa ya chuki na ya kumalizana. Tunaomba kama wase, sisi sote jamii ya Mountain na jamii wa Kalenjin, kama wase tumesema maneno ya impeachment ikuwe kwanza.
Tukiambia Seneti wawe waangalifu sana, kwa sababu vile watabitisha hawajui kile kitatokea Kenya ni nini.
Speaking to journalists in Nakuru, the elders called on President William Ruto to forgive his deputy and ensure unity in his government, which they say will play a part in stabilizing the economy of the country.
Tumekuja kama wase tunasema pole, Mheshimiwa Rais, samea huyu kijana, huyu Gachagua, samea yeye.
Hiyo amani tunataka senators nao wasikiza wazee. Ati tunaomba hiyo mjadala ukwishe, wamalizie hapo, hakuna maneno ya impeachment, tuende mbele na nchi yetu.
Elsewhere, a group of women from Kirinyaga have asked President William Ruto to reciprocate their support by appointing Governor Anne Waiguru as the Deputy President, should the Deputy President exhaust all his options.
Iwapo, na narudia, iwapo kitumbua kitaingia mchanga katika White House, turudi back to the drawing board. Sisi tunataka confront Madam Anne Waiguru. Why? Because of her track record.
The women endorsed Waiguru as the most suitable candidate to take up the Deputy President's position should Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment sail through.
Tunaomba tu ikiti njuu inaonekana iko na vazi. Tafadhali tupatie tu mwanamke. Mwanamke mwenye tutakuwa tunaria anatusikiza. Una huyo mwanamke kwa hii Kirinyaga ametufanyia mambo mingi sana.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Now, the High Court has declined to issue conservatory orders to stop the Senate from debating the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
In his ruling earlier today, Justice Chacha Mwita allowed the sittings scheduled for tomorrow to proceed.
Gachagua, through his lawyers, had argued that his impeachment is politically motivated.
Well, Justice Mwita further referred the matter to Chief Justice Martha Koome to appoint a 3-judge bench that is to hear and determine the ruling. Justice Mwita said that it will now be upon the discretion of the CJ to task the same 3-judge bench she had constituted to hear other petitions on the DP's impeachment.
Yeah, the council.
No, on behalf of the first respondent, we are only applying for a copy of the ruling.
Do you oppose their request?
No, not at all. They have that as a
That's Kuyone.
That's Kuyone Yalushi. Not for the second respondent. It's not there to seek leave to appeal the decision of the High Court, the Court of Appeal, Article 164, paragraph
5 sub-article 4 of the Constitution. This file is to be placed before the Honorable Chief Justice to consider appointing an uneven number of judges to hear this petition. Given the close proximity of the issues in this petition and those in petition E522, the Honorable Chief Justice may consider whether this petition may be heard by the same bench appointed to hear petition E522. I make no orders on costs. Thank you.
Your Honor, we seek leave to appeal the ruling.
You said you are Ogeto?
Yeah, that's fine, Ogeto.
Yes.
So for that reason, Your Honor, on private basis, we seek for typed proceedings.
Any other counsel?
No, on behalf of the first respondent, we are only applying for a copy of the ruling.
Do you oppose their request?
No, not at all. They have that as well.
That's Kuyone.
That's Kuyone Alushi.
All right. The lobbying for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's replacement has intensified among those eyeing for his seat if he is impeached.
Murang'a Governor Irungu Kang'ata has met what he terms as his friends from Nyanza in what is believed to be lobbying for their support.
And as Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, the latest entrant into the race is Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika.
We shall bring you that story in a short while. But listen, this is part of what we're seeing in our nation today. Clearly, as they say, one man's meat is another one's poison.
It's so evident.
And power doesn't exist in a vacuum.
You know?
If there's a potential exit of one, there's a potential entry of others.
Almost immediately.
Almost immediately.
Almost immediately. It will be interesting to watch what plays out. And of course, Kenyans, like you rightfully put it, are in that historical element and time.
We've never been here before.
We've never been here before. It's interesting. Or even if we have been, perhaps not to this magnitude and quite engaging as it is right now.
Right.
The tribal card is what worries
It is.
many.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And that's going to be part of the conversation we're going to have.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
In other news, as we proceed, and folks, please keep it right here. We shall be having a discussion on this and other issues.
Yeah.
But Transport Principal Secretary Mohammed Dagar has confirmed the receipt of a privately initiated proposal from Adani Limited in March this year, as per the PPP Act.
And while defending the deal, he emphasized that the government has no plans to sell JKIA and that the Adani Group will manage operations for the next 30 years.
Questions regarding the management of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport JKIA by Adani in Kenya continues to arouse different emotions as the Adani Airport Holdings Limited finalizes some of the process required before it takes control of the airport for the next 30 years. Among the key questions, according to Embakasi West MP Mark Mwenje, is regarding how Adani will make Kenya Airways become profitable.
Does the proposal by Adani KQ, or do we now risk bringing airlines from India and Asia that will now completely kill our national carrier, and therefore the KQ will cease to disappear?
In response to this, the Ministry of Transport says Kenya Airways will be protected effectively and this will make the airline more competitive.
And it is important to be protective of Kenya Airways because we are a small airline in the scheme of things. And sometimes people find Nairobi very attractive, so they do what is called capacity dumping. They send as many frequencies as possible, and it completely consumes us. So the PS and the ministry have been working hard to help us in that regard. That is what some of these countries did. They protect their airline effectively.
This as the government says it has no intention of nationalizing Kenya Airways as recommended by Parliament. Principal Secretary for Transport Mohammed Dagar has also confirmed that the ministry received a privately initiated proposal from Adani in March this year and went through the requisite process and evaluation as per the PPP Act, but there was no project agreement that was signed. The government argues that if Kenya was to take control of the JKIA and refurbish it, then it might take about 50 years. On Sunday, former Prime Minister
Minister Alela Odinga disclosed that Adani Group's interest in investing in Kenya dates back to 2010, but was subdued by the absence of the proper legal framework for public-private partnerships (PPP). Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul, for that. Now, during the launch of the Women's Integrated Cancer Services Project in Bungoma, tension rose as leaders criticized the Social Health Insurance Fund, claiming it hinders access to medical care.
In her defense, the Health CS, Dr. Deborah Barasa, stated that SHIF is a solution to many healthcare challenges faced by Kenyans. Let's take a look.
2 weeks after the launch of the new health insurance fund SHIF, concerns have been raised as there are still challenges with the scheme. A section of local leaders in Bungoma, for instance, have said that Kenyans are becoming a burden to them due to difficulties in accessing medical services.
Kama ni mradi wa kukuja tu kupigia watu story mara sha tukienda hospitali hatuna matibabu. Hiyo haitusaidii sisi kama wananchi wa Bumula. Hii vitu kama mnajua NHIF inaweza rudi na ifanye kazi, wacha iwe hivyo.
All I'm proposing is that we shall support it. But as we support it, we expect this money to roll back to the counties after every end of the month. Tusingoje iwe kama sasa, tunaona NHIF imeenda na pesa yetu.
Speaking during the launch of a cancer center in Bumula constituency in Bungoma County, Health CS Dr. Deborah Barasa said that Kenya should be patient because SHIF will standardize healthcare in the country.
Hii mpaka kuna treatment hata ukitaka kuenda mambo. Unaona kama cancer leo tunasema cancer iko 400,000. Na juu yake kuna hiyo emergency chronic critical illness fund. Kuna mambo pia ya dialysis ambayo yako hapo na kadhalika. Na sasa tunasema kwa nini tunakatai maneno?
Lakini mnyama inaitwa SHA haikuli watu ni mzuri. Tukiendelea kukaa kidogo mtaanza kusema na kumbe karibu tukatae mambo mazuri.
Barasa has urged community health promoters in the country to prioritize sensitizing Kenyans over the same as part of the government's commitment to revamping the sector.
NHIF ikianza pia watu wengi hawakuwa wamefurahia. Hata wakati tulianza pre-primary education, watu walikuwa nasema watoto wamejaa madarasa, wanakunja viti, sio vizuri, lakini sasa hiona matunda yake.
Patients also tell stories of how they have been going through a lot to get treatment.
Pengine mtu amepatikana kwa stage 1, amegunduliwa mapema yes, lakini kwa sababu ya changamoto za pesa na hii rollout ya SHA ambao tunaambiwa ni SHA inafanya kazi, kusema kweli haifanyi kwa sasa.
Maybe umeuza kila kitu nyumbani. Maybe umechangiwa hadi watu wamechoka. So there is no treatment, you become desperate to an extent yenye unapata wagonjwa wengine wanakufa huko nyumbani.
In the financial year 2023-2024, the government spent 900 million shillings to treat cancer patients, with the Minister of Health now promising to invest heavily in prevention instead of treatment. Wanji Sustin, TV47, Bungoma.
Now away from Bungoma to Nyamira, where a day of unrest gripped the Nyamira County Assembly as police used tear gas to control the disruption caused by ward representatives that were demanding the reinstatement of suspended Speaker Enoch Okero.
Now, despite the chaos, the Assembly's session continued under tight security.
Combo
Alfayo.
With
a guy from the Kisii
the Western
area.
and Kisii area. It's actually the Kisii area also.
Absolutely.
All right.
Take it away, Combo.
These were the scenes at the Nyamira County Assembly buildings on Tuesday as the ousted Speaker of the Assembly, Enoch Okero, attempted to access the Assembly, which was being blocked by a section of ward representatives. His main objective was to forcefully gain entry into the Assembly, claiming that his removal from the office was illegal.
I will protect you by all means, and I've been telling you.
The situation escalated, turning into a chaotic scene as Okero's supporters clashed violently with the Assembly staff and opposition ward representatives.
I'm also protecting anything. We have that
Speaker Okera and some of ward representatives supporting him were forced to flee for their safety as police officers had to use tear gas to disperse the two groups.
Ile kitu nawahakikishia kama wafanyikazi, as an institution, the assembly is firm. And if there is any problem, report to the office of the clerk and the office of the deputy speaker, who is the acting speaker now.
These events just happened a week after tension was witnessed in this county assembly, with some of ward representatives accusing the speaker of contributing to the failure of a motion that aimed at removing Governor Amos Nyaribo from the office.
Whether you are supporting any group, you are welcome. Kaa nyote ongea kama viongozi. Ingine tafuata.
Now, a family in Utawala is demanding justice after their 5-year-old daughter, Chloe Masika, was allegedly found dead in a school dustbin in Mihango Primary ECDE Center.
Well, the family is now seeking answers from the school administration over the tragic loss. Samira
Mohammed with the details.
That means there was someone responsible for covering her in that bucket.
Chloe Masika, a 5-year-old grade 1 student at Mihango Primary ECD who lost her life on 27 September after allegedly being found in a dustbin.
Told me that they looked for Chloe, she was nowhere to be found. Then they later found her in a dustbin bucket. So I tried to ask her, how did Chloe get into that bucket?
The anguish of a grieving mother who questions the mystery surrounding the death of her 5-year-old daughter, which has left her shattered with nowhere to begin.
To move on, to accept, to know that I have 2 kids. It's going to be hard.
Helen Atunga, Chloe's mother, recounts how her day began like any other as she prepared her twins for school on Friday. According to Helen, her kids were in good health and had no complications when going to school.
The 27th of September, on Friday, I prepared my children for school, and I usually prepare them, then I go to school, but I have a lady who takes them to school. So she took my children to school on that Friday, and my children were very healthy.
She says her helper had gone to pick the twins from school only to find one missing before reporting to the teachers to help her find the missing child. And it is here that the horror story began.
And when the girl that picks them from school was looking for Chloe, she went around asking the children, "Have you seen Chloe? Have you seen Chloe?"
Our effort to reach the school's management bore no fruits as they all refrained to issue a statement on the matter. TV47 further pursued the matter with the Sub-County Director of Education, who stated that the matter is under investigations and will not comment on it. Atunga is now blaming the school for negligence, noting that it was the teacher's responsibility to look after her children and other students while in school.
If maybe they tried to look for Chloe, now walimu wengine wako like, nini mbaya? Hatuoni Chloe. Wangemtafuta mapema. Maybe angepatikana mapema.
Samira Mohammed for TV47.
Oh, that's quite unfortunate, right?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
But then we shift gears to matters education, where public university lecturers through the university's academic staff union, that is WASU, and the Kenya University Staff Union, KUSU, have issued out a 7-day strike notice. And of course, the lecturers now demand that the government fully implements the return to work formula, including a 7 to 10% salary increase as agreed upon in September.
Right, this is a story prepared by Anastasia Mukabi.
2 weeks after UWASU and KUSU officials signed a return-to-work formula to suspend their members' countrywide strike, once again public university staff members have issued a 7-day strike notice.
We are giving the government only 1 week to implement that return-to-work formula.
The notice comes after they accuse the government of failing to honor the agreement that they signed on the 26th of September this year.
Yet to date,
neither has the RTWF been operationalized nor the CBA implemented.
The Dons say that learning will paralyze next week if the government fails to address these crucial matters: the total operation of their return to work formula, the implementation of new salary scale 7% and 10%, and the interministerial committee to finalize the remaining items of the 2021 to 2025 CBA, failure to which the unions will be forced to ask for a total implementation of the CBA and the RTWF. UWASU Secretary General Constantine Wesonga has called on the university's employer to prioritize harmonization of the implementation of the CBA.
And I want to call upon IPCF, kindly convene National Implementation Committee for us to have a harmonized implementation of the 2021-2025 CBA.
UWASU and KUSU officials cautioned the government from taking advantage of the current political crisis as an excuse to stall the recent implementation of their demands.
We shall never be divided.
Anastasia Mkabi, TV47, Nairobi.
And the University of Nairobi Council terminated Professor Stephen Kiama's tenure as Vice-Chancellor.
The council notified the university community that Professor Stephen Gitahi Kiama's services as an employee of the University of Nairobi were terminated effective September 27, 2024. Reasons for this termination were promptly communicated to him, according to the UON Council Chairman Amukoa Anangwe. Anangwe says the council reached a resolution that Kiama's request for a second term was not validly communicated and that the contents were not satisfactory. So he did not qualify for a review of the second term.
Well, that being our developing story, we'll definitely be following up to give you more updates from the Education Special Desk. And at this very point, I think it's important that we pay some bills.
Yes, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with a whole lot more content after these messages.
Right.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child.
than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
Being for the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's replacement has intensified among those eyeing his seat if he does get impeached.
Well, Murang'a Governor Irungu Kang'ata has met what he terms as his friends from Nyanza in what is believed to be lobbying for his support. And as Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, the latest entrant into the race is Nakuru Governor Susan Kihiga. We had carried this story. We take it again?
Absolutely.
Murang'a Governor Irungu Kang'ata met leaders from Kisii and Nyanza in attempt to seek their support in replacing Gachagua if he will be impeached by Senate. The leaders, led by National Assembly Majority Whip Silvana Sosoro, described him as hardworking and focused leader who has risen from a councillor to governor. Kang'ata says he made good friends during his days at the National Assembly and Senate. Sources say Kang'ata is among those eyeing to replace Gachagua with an eye on his political future.
Senator and to governor. So occasionally, we usually have such kind of meetings with progressive leaders to share with us their experience in leadership, how they've been able to get to this level without a lot of, because it looks so easy. Like, how is it possible for one to become a councillor, then becomes a member of parliament, then becomes a senator, then governor? So we and do very, very well, because so far, in terms of the ranking, in terms of performance, he stands out. He's among the top 10 governors we have in this country, actually top 5. So this is not really a rare meeting. We usually hold such meetings quite often, but this time round, it coincided with the imaginations of what is happening in the ground. But this is a diverse group. As you can see, it's actually the face of Kenya.
Kang'ata said to be lobbying leaders from Meru region as well.
When I was in the National Assembly, I created permanent friends. So I just came to see my friends. That's all.
Leaders from Professor Kithure Kindiki's backyard are divided on whether to support him in his quest to be Kenya's second in command. Some of the local leaders from Meru said that they will take nothing short of Kindiki appointment.
We signed on strength that Kindiki is going to be appointed as NDP. But from the time we passed that impeachment, things are not as they were. There is a lot of lobbying from various sectors of societies.
Another latest entrant in the race is Nakuru Governor Susan Kihiga, who is serving her first term as governor, now joining a list of female governors who are said to be eyeing the seat. Others are Anne Waiguru of Kirinyaga and Cecily Mbarire of Embu, who also is serving as the ruling party's chairperson. Mbarire is banking on a clean record.
You have seen an impeachment motion against a cabinet secretary, and you saw how it went. You have now seen an impeachment motion against the deputy president. You've seen how it went in the National Assembly. And you will see in both instances the merits of each case and the issues that were looked into before the vote. Therefore, impeachment is a process provided for in our constitution to ensure that there is accountability in government. And that, as I've said, it is accountability from the bottom to the top or from the bottom downwards. From the president, deputy president, cabinet secretaries, all the way to officers like my DCC here.
President William Ruto has maintained a loud silence in deputy's impeachment bid. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Liz, for that. Now, the ODM party has reiterated its commitment to staying in opposition, vowing to continue the fight for the nation's liberation.
Speaking at his homecoming, Kisumu Governor and ODM's interim leader, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, emphasized that the country has yet to meet the full expectations of the 2010 Constitution.
He vowed that ODM will ensure that these goals are achieved, and with support from Homa Bay Governor, who pledged to work closely with Nyong'o to fulfill the party's mission.
Yes, the test of a constitution is when it changes the lives of the people in line with the principles, the laws, and the commitments therein stated. So we have the responsibility to continue the struggle while the party chairman, party leader is away, to make sure that we don't deviate in any way. We shall not deviate if we as leaders hang together and hold together. Masivyo, wale ambao wanajitolea muhanga kuhakikisha ya kwamba Wakenya watapata huduma ya kutosha.
This is what we will build. We are not confused at all. ODM stands alone as a party. That is a movement for the people. We are social democrats. We will speak for the people. We will stand with the people. We will move with the people. And we will stand under the guidance of Raila Amolo Odinga, having left for us now Peter Anyang' Nyong'o.
And away from politics, the annual Changamka Festival will align with Africa Industrialization Week, aiming to position Kenyan manufacturing manufacturers within the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
This is, of course, despite Kenya's manufacturing sector contributing only 7.6% to the GDP. Of course, Industrialization Principal Secretary Dr. Juma Mukhwana emphasized that the government has done its part in creating opportunities, and it's now up to local industries to seize them.
Around 58% of Kenyans prefer made-in-Kenya products, while almost 20% of the population veer more towards imported goods, a factor that is pushing retailers to line shelves with foreign products. Among a number of reasons, non-Kenyan goods-consuming citizens find the cost of Kenyan-made goods higher than its foreign counterparts, which pushes them away from made-in-Kenya goods, a factor which local manufacturers lament comes from an unpredictable tax regime and high initial production costs.
For you to be globally competitive as an industry, you have to be locally competitive. And that is the purpose why we are having our industries to showcase the best that we have in this country.
Now, local producers are being encouraged to look towards exportation to boost sales as the government pushes trade agreements with different countries and regions.
In terms of market access, I think we have done a bigger part of our work. What remains now is to call on Kenyans, those who are manufacturing, to do more so that we can sell more within the East Africa, the African, the European, the American market.
In the first few days of November this year, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers is set to host the Changamka Festival, a conference where manufacturers gather and sell wares, which is set to coincide with the Africa Industrialization Week, a move that Industrialization PS says is strategic.
We really need to support our industries because when we support our industries, they will buy more from our farmers, they will make more products, they will export more, they will build more jobs, and then we can start to discuss about how do you then bring down the cost of living.
Manufacturers have also been advised to leverage AI in positioning their products in the local and international markets. Hibak Said for TV 47.
Commissioners of the Revenue Commission have challenged the county governments to enhance their collection of taxes and revenues. Of course,
this is in their respective areas, and of course, that is with an intention of ensuring that they get to enhance collection of taxes and revenues in these jurisdictions to meet the financial gaps.
The Commission on Revenue has been having a 3-day workshop with counties.
As Willie Dennis tells us.
Willie Dennis tells us more.
Speaking after a 3 days workshop in Naivasha that brought together county finance executives, Commission Chair Mary Chebukati reiterated that many counties have not implemented the June finance law.
A month ago, the counties have been taken to court for not complying with the law. They are supposed to comply with the County Governments Act, Section 120. None of them have been able to come up with a policy that will guide the development of the laws, the legal primary laws that require them to collect revenue.
Some of the county governments are very committed in collecting revenues, and some are not. So it depends on the leadership of the county governments.
This comes at a time when there have been lamentations over incapacitated services in the counties, as 41 of them now faces jury in the corridors of justice.
If you notice what has happened in the recent past, around 41 counties have been taken to court because of using their finance bill to charge tariffs tariffs and charges and all that.
Hata wale waliokwenda kotini, nafikiri wamefanya jambo zuri ili kusisitiza kaunti zote ziweze kutii sheria.
According to CRA, tax collections stand at 50 billion shillings, less than Apex collection of 216 billion shillings annually, with the new law aimed at mitigating the gap.
The revenues or the taxes you collect must follow services. You don't put an open place and call it a market. That open place must have a toilet, must be tarmacked, must be fenced, must be safe, must be clean. Then you can ask somebody to give you something small. But if you just collect.
County hospitals currently leading the tax collection, precipitated by modernization of medical equipment, quality services and experienced staff.
We are very proud of the health sector, and that is why the health sector is what we call